Welcome back to another episode of Money Honeys, where we, Freddie,
Chantel,
and Devin,
like boarding jets and like morning sex. But there's nothing in this world that we like more than checks. All we really want to see is
money.
We don't really need the D. We need the
money.
All a bad bitch really need is
money.
Ladies, how are we this week?
I'm better now after that.
Yeah.
Tell you that much.
That was a little hit of caffeine I needed.
You know, just a little something for the end of the week.
This week, I mean, honestly, the past couple weeks have been chaotic, been hectic. Like your wedding was a bright spot. The bright spot, I'd say.
Thank you. For me too.
Same.
Good.
Feel the same way.
But should I say this now? Yeah, it's coming out soon. I am quitting my job.
Hey.
How do we feel?
I mean, this is like kind of iconic because the podcast was here when I first really started this full-time job. And now we've seen it to completion.
True fans will remember.
I just really miss the freelance lifestyle. And honestly, I love, the production company. I love Creator Plus and the mission. I just didn't want to be in marketing anymore. And that's something I didn't even really talk about publicly because it kind of felt like I was selling out in a weird way. But that's what the production company needed at the time, someone to help them make marketing assets. And my heart hurt the entire time I was doing it because you don't lead the creative, right? And I noticed that, like, whenever a note that came across my desk that I thought was stupid and not the point of what I was trying to convey, I would get, like, kerfuffled.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this isn't the job for me. If I'm feeling this way all the time.
Yeah.
Keyword all the time.
Always.
The keyword is 5.
Yeah. All of it. So, yeah, I emailed a couple other clients I had before I went to full-time and was like, I'm back on the market. And they were like, okay, come on over. We got some gigs for you. And I'm like, great. So I'm leaving September 16th.
September 16th.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to quit.
Look,
Yeah.
we've all been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So that's me.
Do you feel lighter?
Oh, my God. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. I think, well, first of all, it's in the air. I know so many people. Beyonce said, release your job. And everyone said, okay. Word. Yeah, like, let's go. But yeah, I know a lot of people who are quitting right now.
Wow.
And I also think that perhaps this generation and younger generations are seeing the bullshit behind a full-time salaried position. Because yes, you get bennies. Those are great. We love the bennies. But like the freelance lifestyle, y'all, is so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
Shanti, how about you?
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, how are you? Married.
I know. The wedding was so fun.
Incredible.
Thank you both for being there.
I mean, what a fun ass wedding. I can't even deal.
It was one of my favorite weddings I've
for
ever been
sure.
to. For real.
That's like the only feedback that we wanted. Like, we want to beat everyone else.
I just want to say I won best mess at the wedding. I won messiest guest. So
Yes, you did. You got your whole little award and everything.
and I broke it 15 minutes later.
Yes.
Immediately.
Stumbled outside, ate shit, and broke it.
Sure did.
We're like, we bestowed this award properly. Yeah, so the wedding was like, it was great. It was so fun. I definitely want to do an episode kind of just of like wedding learnings and even of just like what's like the monetary cost of having like a fun ass wedding that is truly everything that like only the stuff that you want.
Ooh, I'm excited for this episode.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think it's more expensive.
Well, it's
like a lot more.
Where do you put your money? Do you put your money at the apps?
Right.
Do you put your money at the flowers? Do you put your money, like, that's what I want to know. If I want a fun-ass wedding, where should I be funneling the cash?
Right. Right.
We'll find out.
Some other time.
Some other time.
Not after the break. We're still
chatting. We're still chatting. Stick with us.
So I guess circling back to like the freelance lifestyle, like I've actually like work for me has been really slow. Like when I say slow, I mean like I haven't had like a brand deal or even like a pitch for one since, April. And it is September now. So it's a little like, what am I gonna do maybe? And I think it really is like a lot of it is the landscape right now on social media. Like I think brands are kind of dialing back their creator budgets. And so I think with that, management teams and all of those, agents who do those negotiations and do the pitches, like they've kind of had to like take a step back and reevaluate a new strategy and a new approach. Just because there's so many creators out there now. A lot of brands right now are very specific in the types of creators that they're looking for versus, if you're more of just like a lifestyle creator, you can kind of fit into like different brands and buckets. But right now they're looking for someone who's based in LA, ages 18 to 24, vegan, who also has 2 dogs.
Wow.
No, it's real.
Yeah.
It's
so
like, stupid.
It's so specific now. So it's just kind of weeding out a lot of, opportunity for those of us who just aren't like, who don't have that specific descriptor as a creator,
Right.
So I've just been a little like, just trying to figure out like, social media and this landscape and this way of making money isn't going to last forever.
No.
And we knew that, So I think it's just a matter of pivoting and figuring out, like, how can I still create, monetize it, but not be so dependent on brands all the time. And I haven't figured out that answer. But I do kind of today want to talk about the science behind brand deals and, like, how they work. I know a lot of people who may not be in the creator space, they'll just, scroll and see people doing, posts with like Dove products in the shower or beauty products or, pet food, things like that. But a lot of people don't really know exactly how it works from start to finish. And anyone who's like looking to be a creator or start out in the space and you feel like it's like too late or too saturated, please listen to this episode because it is not. You just have to find your pocket. And we're going to have a lot of info for you guys in a bit, and a special influencer guest come talk to us about sort of how she built her following from the ground up, et cetera, et cetera. But before we get to that, I kind of just want to talk about our specific experiences really quickly. We're kind of a part of that first wave of influencers, kind of along with some of the OG YouTubers, et cetera, et cetera. And we've seen the ebbs and flows of monetizing your social media content and impact. So a question for y'all to start: when did you get your first brand deal, and how did it feel to have someone attach a number to your value, just almost as a person?
I'm trying to remember what my first one was. Like it might have been like Target, I think.
That was my first one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we all like kind of got it at the same time. But yeah, and that one was crazy because it was just so much more money than I ever expected it to be. And it was also during the kind of like Wild Wild West area of like, or not area.
Era,
yeah.
And then what year? You could just say what year.
2017.
Yeah, 2017 sounds right. Yeah, I think it was like 2017-ish. Or no, it was 2018 because I remember doing my kickoff call when I was in South Korea for the Olympics.
Yes, it was 2018.
Yeah, February of 2018. And because like there was a brief moment where they're like, we need you to do it in the next week. I was like, okay, I guess like ship swimsuits to South Korea
in the middle of winter
where it's snowing.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was like, I'll find a spa, I guess, as long as they're okay with it being indoors. But then that wound up like not being the case, and they shipped it like later once I was like back in the US. Yeah. But yeah, so it was kind of the Wild Wild West era, and so brands were just paying like so much money.
Yeah. So how much was that? Do you remember how much they offered you?
It was at least $20K.
Yeah.
Like I think it might have been like a little.
Can't believe BuzzFeed would let you. Really? They gave you the full $20K? The Target deals? Really?
It wasn't through BuzzFeed.
It was outside.
There it
was through
is.
Stephanie Kornfeld.
Yes.
That's
was.
right.
Yeah.
Well, that was
Shout
my
out Steffi.
yeah, Steffi, Zach's sister,
Yeah.
who like the cornfields. Like she is carrying on the legacy of the cornfield name, in my opinion. No shade to Zach. Zach's incredible, but at the same time, Steffi, ooh, my girl.
A businesswoman.
I love
yeah.
her. Yeah, I got my first brand deal from Steffi too.
Yeah, so she actually was interested in managing creators at the time, and we kind of were like, some of her first clients, which was really cool. And I don't think any of us knew what to expect. No. Just for context, the brand deal was with Target, and it was basically showcasing, and it was a campaign for their swimsuits. So it was like leading up to summertime. Actually, yeah, it was like in the spring.
Yeah.
It was in the spring of 2018.
And I remember those swimsuits were cute.
They
were
were
so
very
cute.
Yeah, they were super cute,
And they were like, pick 10.
Yeah.
And so I had like 10 Target swimsuits that were so cute.
Yeah.
You probably still all have them. Like you still probably have them all still.
I would, well, I gave them away like when I was moving.
Oh, right. Okay.
Otherwise, they would all still be.
I mean, I definitely had at least, there's
Yeah.
this black one piece that I still have.
Yeah.
With like little laces on the side, little gold, little boop, and then it makes your boobs go boop. And then I was like, oh, this is it. This is the one.
Amalfi Coast.
Yeah.
That's the one.
But yeah, I think we probably all got, I think mine was in between 20 and 30K. And like, it's interesting because obviously at that time, that was like the most money that I had ever seen.
In a chunk.
In a chunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, in terms of like, answering the question, what was it like to have my value reflected in monetary form? Like, that was a lot of money. Like, it felt good at the time. I think what really starts to kind of get to me mentally, personally, is when you start losing followers, right? So, like, everything's all well and good when you're growing and you have a lot of numbers. And then, at that time, brands were just throwing money at you. And, like, the landscape has changed. And when you lose followers, amounts that they're willing to pay decreases. And I think that is more so.
And then you start to panic.
Yes.
And people can sense that in your content because you start posting more, you start posting inane shit, and people are like, okay. Or even like Instagram right now has totally fucked up its timeline. So
Right.
people can't see the content that I post, even if they follow me.
Right.
So I'm not getting nearly as many impressions as I used to.
Yep.
If I go to my insights, which is, by the way, apologies, we're starting to talk shop right now. Like this is like insights, impressions. Those are really important if you are a creator.
Yeah.
When I go to my insights and I go to like, I toggle it to like the past 2 years or whatever, you can see the dip. It's a dip and it's scary.
I actually hate going to my insights.
Yeah, it's
I avoid it at all costs. I'm like, I already know engagement is low, y'all.
And you don't want to do the inauthentic shit where it's like asking your followers questions on every single post
Right,
or like
exactly.
it's hard.
favorite color is blue. What's yours?
Pole.
Literally.
Red, green, or pink.
Oh my god, I'm gonna make us post that on Money Honeys.
I also went back to my emails and to check. I was like, what was that Target offer? And so their like opening number was 17.5, and then I think we got them up into the 20s.
Yeah.
Wow. Because I remember it was not less than 20K.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah.
It felt life changing. It was life changing.
Yeah, it was.
It was very life changing.
When I first got a big chunk of money like that, I remember seeing it because I basically took it all and put it on my student loans. Like bing, bang, boom. Like maybe kept 1,000 or 2, put it in savings, but then put it all in student loans. And I remember thinking to myself, like, A, this doesn't feel fair because it feels like I got to like jump a couple years of paying those off. And 2, like, it feels weird to be like monetizing my image to pay off my education. But I mean, I'm not the first, and I won't be the last person to do this.
Yeah. No, but when you think about that, it is a weird like juxtaposition where it's like, oh, my face is paying for my education.
For my for my role in society,
Yeah.
Right.
which is so fucked up.
Oh, I hate it.
But one of my first brand deals I had was with actually Curly, and it was actually through BuzzFeed. And it was like a fashion show we did with Neil Patrick Harris. And because Neil Patrick Harris was on set, it was a SAG set. So y'all, you need to read your contracts because I read my contract and they put me down for $30K that I was supposed to be receiving, Curly and I. But BuzzFeed told me I was only going to get $5K. So I signed that contract, took a picture of it, told Curly, and I was like, we're going to get this $30K. It took us about 8 months, but we got it finally.
Wow.
So y'all need to read those contracts. And I'm sure Leslie's going to talk to us about this.
Yeah.
Our special guest today. But
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to be careful. You have to be careful when there's also just like a third party involved because they could try and, the fine print, y'all, the fine print.
Right. If it's someone, because it's like with agents and managers, how the relationship works, it's kind of like in their best interest to get you the most money because they're getting a percentage of it versus like having a third party. They're not trying. They're like, no, we're just going to pay them that and we want to take the rest of it.
And there's no oversight. You don't see at all what the offer is.
Exactly.
The initial offer.
No, and the money doesn't flow through you. It goes to them and
then they
pay
parcel
you.
it out. Yep. Well, I want to go a little bit more in depth about how these deals work, and we'll have, again, like I said, we're going to have a special influencer guest on to talk about how to land some deals on your own with or without management.
Stick around, cuties, and we'll give you this piping hot tea after the break. All right, we are back, and today's episode goes into detail about brand deals, social media campaigns, and the economics behind them. Before we bring in our guest, let's get the basics down real quick.
So from start to finish, this is how social media brand deals work in our experience. Okay, so you either pitch yourself or your team pitches you. Then the brand shows interest and asks rates. You provide your rates. They usually send over contracts promising the agreed upon rate in exchange for posting XYZ, usually net 30 or net 60, meaning that you'll get paid in 30 to 60 days, sometimes 90. They send over a creative brief and ask you to write out your concepts for approval before shooting. You submit. They approve or ask you to tweak, depending on what they need. Then you create the content and you send it over for approval. Usually you have to send it over 48 to 90 hours before you want to post it. They approve or ask you to tweak. You post upon the agreed date, and then they pay you.
There we go, start to finish. Pretty simple. But it's I would say it's 75% of the time it's not as straightforward as that. Like
in a perfect world.
Yeah, in a perfect world,
Right.
it would just go like this each time, but it does not.
Yeah, negotiation period, aka 16 emails.
Yes. That sometimes can take weeks, almost even
yeah.
months.
I'm triggered.
Yeah.
Literally, I pulled up the Target thing. It was 16 emails. Just of like, they want to know if you could do this. Okay, well, I can't do that. I'm trying. Okay, they want to know about this. Okay, well, there's
Yeah. It's a lot of back and forth.
a lot of back and forth.
And to talk more in depth about this, we have Leslie Antonoff in the studio with us today.
In the stew.
Yes.
Live in the stew.
Here she is.
Hey y'all, what's up?
Hey, girl. Hey.
I always wanted an air cannon when I arrived.
Yeah.
That's,
Actually, we'll insert that. We'll insert that.
Yeah.
We'll insert
Yes.
Do we have the budget? Air cannon,
Right.
please.
Yes.
Do me right.
So Leslie and I go pretty far back. Her younger sister and I went to college together. Leslie also went to Howard University. I was really excited when Leslie agreed to come on Money Honeys. But when I was thinking about what to write for her intro, I immediately got extremely overwhelmed and started to sweat. You guys, the first place I sweat is my vagina. And like,
Your vagina?
yes, it's a hot pocket down there.
Yeah.
And so
It's turned into a new podcast.
Wow.
I say
Yeah.
I got overwhelmed because I feel like Leslie may have invented the term multi-hyphenate. Like, you guys. Okay, well, let's just start with her social media presence. Leslie's online moniker is Hot Mommy, where she highlights all things lifestyle, including fashion, travel, family, and food. And when I say food, y'all, she's not just like going to a restaurant and taking a photo of her plate. Like, she's a chef, like an actual chef. Like, and when I say chef, like she has an actual food show that airs on TV.
What?
Yeah.
Ms. Leslie.
You know, I wrote
got-
it, I cook it, I EP'd it,
Yes.
I hosted it,
Come on.
Yes, you did.
Listen,
developed it,
we gon'
created it.
we gonna get.
Keep going, girl. My bad.
You're supposed to perch. You're perching.
You're like, I did the makeup. I rented the trailers. I did the.
I did it all, right? I had a co-host. He's great.
So she's built her online community all on her own from the ground up and continues to make splash across all platforms, from her funny and relatable tweets, where she is also talking real shit too, y'all, to her beautiful travel reels on Instagram that scream luxury. And we love luxury.
We
on
love
this podcast.
luxury.
So good.
It's all we want. A luxurious life. Who doesn't want it?
Lavish, baby.
Honest- And we can all, we all have-
absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. And it's not wrong to want to feel luxurious
No.
at all. So as you can tell, I've only scratched the surface. I've talked about who Hot Mommy is, but there's more to Leslie personally and career-wise. So Leslie, welcome to Money Honey.
Yay!
Welcome.
Girls, I appreciate you having me. I'm glad to be here. I like to talk about money, honey.
You got our tagline
Yes.
immediately.
You know, I'm here for the voiceovers.
Yes. Do you do voice acting?
She does it all.
Yeah, well,
Yes, you know.
She's like, I do character animation as well. I can storyboard anything for
Right.
you.
oh,
Well, thank you so much for being here, Leslie.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Just to get a better idea of all that you encompass, what are other lines of work that you're involved in? Because if we love nothing else on this podcast, it is passive revenue and multiple streams of income.
We do.
Don't we love that?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I guess from the beginning, yes, there's the social media presence. Obviously, you know, we know there's a variety of platforms. So I mean, I'm getting paid on things from Pinterest to Instagram to
Ooh.
right? So, and then obviously I've been paid from YouTube. As Freddie said, I am also a television host, media personality. So, you know, you get checks from that. And then I also owned a clothing brand for a number of years.
No
that I
way.
was selling, yes. So I used to make collegiate apparel that was specifically for those who went to HBCUs, supported HBCUs, or alumni of HBCUs. So I did that too. I am an author, so I'm in the midst of completing a novel.
You guys, it's just keep going.
Where do you get the energy?
You're like, I got my real estate license.
You know, on the side I build homes. Right? So, you know, and in between, sometimes I shoot pilots when people call me and say, hey, Leslie, you want to, you know, make an HGTV pilot? Sure, why not? Let's do it.
And you're a mom?
And I'm a mother. I have 3 children.
3?
And I married somebody, too. So I'm a wife. You know that's the job, child.
You know what? It really is.
Okay.
It really is.
Yeah. And their wife.
Wait, so how do you find the energy? What do you do?
God's grace, matcha, water.
Because I'm napping all the time.
You know,
and I need.
Yeah.
I'm not a napper.
Oh, maybe that.
I wish
Okay.
I could nap. Probably. That would be good for me. I don't relax well. Can you tell?
How many hours of sleep do you get a night?
Probably 6,
That's not bad.
Damn.
maybe. You know, I
Maybe.
go to bed. I have a bedtime though. I do go to bed at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
Right? I'm like, this is it.
Lights out.
Turn off TV.
Wait, like you go to bed and then start winding down at 11,
go
or
to
you
the
are
bed.
asleep? Okay.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Don't be confused. That's not sleep.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
You're resting.
Right, I'm resting.
There you go.
You know?
Unwinding.
No more
Decompression.
perching. I'm now laying. Okay. Yes. So I go to bed at 11 because I told myself I have to at least be there.
Yeah.
'Cause then I can start kind of winding down. I'm probably asleep by midnight, and then you know I'm up intermittently. So I sleep in 2-hour stretches, maybe 2.5-hour stretches.
Wow.
Every night?
Yeah, I haven't slept a full night since 2008.
What?
That's when like I had my oldest daughter. So that was the last time I really had like a full night of sleep, with the exception of like, you know, a vacation. when
Right,
no one's
right.
there. But yeah.
What?
I'm like, everyone's like, wait.
I'm like, this is now a sleep podcast.
Yeah.
The 2-hour shifts.
Yes.
I need to know a little bit more about
Okay,
that.
so I'm normally like, I fall asleep, let's say at 12, and then I probably wake up at like 3, like, oh gosh, okay, I need to use the bathroom. Or like,
Sure.
Sometimes it's an idea. Sometimes I literally will wake up and I'm like, oh. And then I like will write it down, and then I'm like, okay. And then I can't fall instantly back asleep either.
Right. No. You
I'm
know.
not
That's
one of
how
those
I
people.
am too.
So I always have my Kindle with me. I am constantly reading.
Yeah.
So then, like, instead of reaching for my phone and scrolling, I'll grab my Kindle and I'll read. And I essentially, like, relax my mind back to sleep, and then I just go back to sleep. And then I might get up again at, like, 5.
Yeah.
Right? And then I have to get up at 6:30. My children need to get ready for school.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be out of the house by
Oh
9:45.
my goodness.
I'm at the gym at 9:40. And then I spend the rest of my day.
See,
I'm inspired.
I also have the involuntary like sleep shifts,
Yes.
but I'm exhausted all the time.
No, you just, it's also a mindset.
Okay.
I think, have accepted in my head that.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Well,
I'm not at the
Do you have
acceptance
kids?
yet. No.
Then don't accept it. Go to sleep. Go to bed. No. Don't accept. Go to sleep
Okay.
until you can't, right?
Yeah.
Because it does happen. Some people probably sleep better than me, but
You're right.
my husband does. Bless.
They always do. They always
So soundly.
I
So
know.
soundly.
They wake up all rested and happy.
Right? Ooh, good morning. I'm like, is it?
Am I the only one who gets annoyed when like they wake up? Because I have a boyfriend. He wakes up and he's like, I'm like, get up.
Yes. Oh, daily. This is a daily occurrence.
Get up.
Right? I'm like, don't stretch and mirror away. Get your ass up. You've been asleep for 13 hours. You're not tired. You're just not tired. No, I completely agree. It's ridiculous.
So we talked a little bit about our experiences that make you you, but from the influencer point of view, how we've had the backing of a large company, and we were saying before you came in that our BuzzFeed.com email address opened a lot of doors.
Absolutely.
We were very privileged for that. But can you talk about what it's like for a person to build their own community and navigate the waters of like brand deals and companies that try to take you for a ride? Because I'm
I've
sure
been
you
on
know.
I think the first thing that people have to understand is building a brand. I think I've had the privilege of having a degree in marketing and public relations, right?
Ooh,
So
say
that
more.
helps.
That is shining through.
I think that when you know how to build a story, what it is that brands are looking for, how it is to market yourself, it's a bit easier, right? I will say that. I've had the privilege of being able to sit in classrooms and like understand the 4 Ps of marketing and price evaluation and, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
So in doing that knowledge base has allowed me to be able to grow and build brands.
Okay.
And I've been honestly an entrepreneur since I was 8 years old. So that is also not, a shocker kind of thing. I think in building the brand, I established from the jump what I wanted it to do for me. So I didn't want it to be a hobby, right? And I think some people are like, oh, this is just fun, But for me, I'm like, I don't really want to do corporate America. Right now, granted, when I went to college, the goal was to be an attorney, right? And eventually be a judge. And right?
The thing is, I could see it.
Right.
Yes. You have time.
Yeah.
I've got the time.
You have
today.
time.
So that was the goal. When I got there and realized I was bored out of my mind.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not using enough of the Leslie to, really kind of keep at this. I was like, I want to do something else. This industry is still very new, as much as it does seem kind of like entrenched and crowded and all of those things. So in that, I've kind of been able to build and take advantage of the newness and make it my own from the jump, right? So when I first started doing influencing, it was blogging. And that was what everybody kind of started. When we talk about like the OGs, so the Ami Songs, the Nicolette Masons and people like that, they all had a blog, right? My senior thesis in college was on blogging as a form of journalism, right? So that's how old I am.
Wait, no, you were before the curve of the curve.
Yeah.
Before the curve.
Yeah. So, I've also always been an early adopter, right? My dad got me my first Apple computer when I was 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, Dad.
Right? Thanks, Dad. Yeah. It was 1988. No. So that was, also kind of a thing. So the computer has kind of been like an extension of my body almost. So when I started doing blogging, I was very much like, okay, I want to write. I want to talk to people. I've always been a writer. And that kind of was the platform to be able to grow. And with the advent of Instagram, it was like, oh, wow. Okay, now we get to put pictures to these words.
Right.
So that was really interesting. But I knew from the onset that it had to be something that people wanted to see. I had to be able to like grab the attention of people. My first blog was like about natural hair when nobody was doing that. Right. And so I can see the trend kind of before it starts to happen. And I think I'm lucky enough to have that viewpoint in a way that a lot of people probably don't.
Because it's your business degree and business mindset with your mixed with your creativity.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't have that part. A lot of people are only coming from the creative.
Not
space.
in this space.
Right.
I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Not in this space.
And I think that's the part they're kind of missing it, which is why they're like, but I'm so creative. You're like, yeah, and that's great. But you don't have a business acumen.
Right.
And having an idea doesn't make you a business person.
No, and you need the story.
Absolutely.
Like, that's what struck me by what you were saying of like the whole marketing aspect of it is the story.
You always need to tell the story.
What were the 4 P's of marketing? You mentioned that.
Oh, do I remember them? Their price. Oh, goodness. Okay, so product, price, promotion. So you obviously have to have your product. Let's just take, for instance, you're the product, right? Okay, so now you have to figure out the place. So you're in Los Angeles. Okay, so that is a large place. You're the product, you're the place. Now you need to promote yourself, right? But now we need to figure out, like, how does you being the product go with the place that you're in? And that promotion has to work too, because you can't market yourself the same way that you would if you were in New York. Right? Because that's very different. But then also, are you born and raised in Los Angeles? Probably not, because most people are not. I am, but you know what I mean? Very few people are. And so then you bring that too. Like, okay, if you're from Arizona, let's talk about what it means to be an Arizonian in Los Angeles. And like, so now you're just learning how to build the story. Most people don't know how to do that. And to be honest with you, most brands don't know how to do that with people.
That part.
Come on.
Right? Which is why influencer marketing is so difficult, because they don't even know how to do it. They're still thinking and operating from a traditional standpoint, which is the struggle, and which is why most influencers struggle to get paid.
You should open up an agency. I'm like ready.
I used to own one.
There it is. All right, just
Slide it back, girl.
I'm crying.
Oh my God.
If there's one thing that I do know about you, it's that you really do not cut corners.
No.
Like, for Hot Mommy, I know that you have a team to like help pitch and negotiate, but I have a sneaking suspicion that you are heavily involved in all aspects of this.
You know, you'd be right. And actually now there's like, I have like an assistant, but when it comes to most of the things, I mean, I do everything. I mean, I'm pitching myself, I'm looking at the brands, I'm building it. Like, obviously I have a website, you know, creator, and like I have a photographer, blah, blah, blah. But on the day-to-day basis, it's mostly, you know, El Boogie making it happen. So it's like, okay, if there's a brand I want to work with, let me find the contact for the brand. And even that's a skill set that most people don't know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes people are just kind of on Google and they're like, oh, let me guess the email. You know what I mean? Again, like, okay, let's do dev@buzzfeed.com. That might work, you know, and then they kind of do it. So even that's a skill set, right? So usually, yeah, I'm pretty much doing it all by myself. But I will always say, I think that there should always be an essence of excellence in everything that you do, right? If you want to sell yourself as a person and sell yourself as a brand, you want it to be top notch and upstanding. Otherwise, nobody's going to come back, right? Brand loyalty comes from the excellence. And if you continue to provide that, then you'll always have people calling you back to do something.
It's true.
Wow.
In everything. In everything. If you're a producer, you know, anything like that, where it's like you get work by being good.
Yes, absolutely.
You're good one time, then that person will continue calling you and then will refer you and everything like that.
Every single time.
When you're looking for, talking about the skill set of like finding the business contact, what's like the title of that contact that you're looking for?
Normally, I will start with marketing coordinator, right? I think when the influencer kind of industry first started, that's usually where it would fall. Because everybody was kind of like, okay, it's either the publicist, it's either the public relations coordinator or the marketing coordinator. Now you will find somebody that's like the influencer marketing person. You know what I mean? Usually that's like an intern or somebody that's very fresh entry level job, which is fine. It's great, but they don't make decisions, right? They're normally just following accounts, which is a job in and of itself, and they're busy doing that, but they don't work with the money. So I typically am always looking for a marketing manager, marketing director, somebody like that. I go for the top and then let them put me down to wherever I need to be, right? But I wouldn't ever like email a VP of marketing because now you're going too high and now they're not in their job scope anymore, right? Like
they're not even the ones checking their inbox.
They're not worried about it, right? So it's usually like a marketing director, marketing manager, somebody of that nature, like influencer, you know, program manager, somebody like that, and then I let them trickle me down to whoever it needs to go to.
Do you use programs like Aspire or to link?
I do. And then there's actually, and I'm trying to remember, there is a extension for Google that you can use that actually will connect to LinkedIn. and I believe it's called Snow. Ooh, industry secret. And you can hook it up to your Google, and it essentially will like help you find an email, and you can look up on LinkedIn. There's also an app called The Creator, which they work with now, and they have all of the brands and the brand contacts in the app. And you can join. I was invited to join the app. But
Wow.
they're like, it's a phenomenal app, and it gives you the direct contact to everybody you need as well.
How do you spell that?
I'll look it up, and I'm like, I'll show y'all when after we're done.
Literally like adding the extension.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'll show it to you. But yeah, that is a phenomenal app. And they actually do a lot of workshops or master classes, and the brands will come and talk to influencers about what they should be saying when they want to pitch them, what they're looking for. So it's actually a great resource for people that are trying to, pitch and get money too.
Mm-hmm. Wow, such hot tips.
Yeah.
Already.
It's hot, like H-A-U-T.
Ooh, there it is. There it is.
Like the brand,
Branding.
the storied
It's
brand.
It's the story again.
So then how do you go about like determining your rates, especially for like all the different types of work that you do?
So I think, one, I'm thinking about the time I've been in the business. You know what I mean? They say you don't always want to charge people for the amount of time it takes you to complete the assignment, but you want to charge for the amount of time that it took you to learn how to do the assignment. Does that make sense?
Ooh.
I want to write that down. So you want to make sure that you're charging for that, right? So if you went to school to learn about engineering, right? And somebody says, oh, can you come build me a building? Yeah. They're not paying for you for the time that it takes you to build the building. They're paying for your knowledge to build it.
Right.
Because they can't do it themselves.
Right.
Right? So to me, if Amex is coming to me and they're like, Leslie, oh my goodness, can you please tell people in your generation, millennials, to sign up for a credit card? Okay, so one, you want access to my audience. So I'm charging for the access because you couldn't get it on your own, which is why you had to come call me. Right? Two, you can't figure out how to do it. I know how to do it because I speak the language. I know where they're hiding. I know where they are. I know how to get to them. So that's also a way that I'm charging, right? And now I'm thinking about, okay, what's the time? What's the deliverables? If it's 2 weeks, oh, girl, I'm about to tax your ass because why did you call me 2 weeks when you needed something to do? They always wait until the last minute.
They always do.
Right? Your emergency has nothing to do with my urgency. You should have worked in a timely fashion. So charge for that as well, right? Then you need to think about usage rights. Are they going to use this like in a commercial? Are they going to throw it up on Instagram? Are they going to throw it up on Pinterest? And next thing you know, your little face is there waving with an Amex logo on it. Charge for that too. So I think that all of those things come into play. And you do have to figure that out. I don't necessarily think about vanity metrics as much anymore, which is like followers or like comments and impressions and things like that, because that varies, right? And we're in a space now where with the decline of Instagram, right, and engagement there, you can't really focus on that. And as a brand, if I was smart, I wouldn't, right? Because I'm thinking that doesn't mean that that person doesn't have reach. Right? I'm sitting in here with you three ladies now, and you know me because Freddie knows me. Freddie trusts me, which means you probably trust me, which means if I tell you to go buy something, you're going to get it.
Yep.
Even if I only had 1,000 followers on Instagram, that doesn't matter, right? Because it's all about the person that you know me from. But that's about building the community, and that's the part that brands don't understand.
You're so right, because at this point in 2022, everyone's trying to sell everyone something. And I'm only looking for the personal contacts. So if you tell me to go get chorizo from Trader Joe's, yeah, I'm going to go buy that.
Right. Because you're like, oh, okay, but Leslie wouldn't tell me something bad.
Right.
I trust her. She's going to give me that. And that's what it is. And most people right now, and they've always thought this, right? Whether it was advertising in 1920 when Edward Bernays, the father of public relations, was showing people how to sell things, nobody wanted to feel like they were being advertised to, right? People don't like that, which is why ads on Instagram or TikTok, they don't do as well, because it's like, oh my God, I love Starbucks, right? As opposed to just catch me walking in this room and I have this Starbucks in my cup and I'm talking to somebody who's like, what is that she's drinking? And then that's the thing that they're writing in the comments, because I never acknowledged the thing that was already right here, right? And that's a new way that people don't understand of being able to market and being able to get your message to the audience.
So what do you do then if like a brand, I have so many questions, but a brand comes to you and they're just so out of touch with like, oh, we need you to mention these 3 touch points, and they just sound so unnatural coming out of your mouth, blah, blah, blah. How do you negotiate that?
So normally I would start to ask them, what is it that you liked about my content when you reached out to me, right? And you say, okay, so you liked X, Y, and Z. This that you submitted to me as far as a script and the brief doesn't really match up with what you said you liked. So let's figure out a way to get you what you like that sounds authentic to me and also natural for the brand, right? Because just because you give me a talking point, if it sounds silly, you're not going to get the impressions that you wanted anyway, because everybody's going to be turned off. So that's typically my question. I mean, it's just like when I'm on TV, right? Anybody can hand you a script, but you're going to improv some of it.
Yeah, you have to.
You know what I mean? You have to. And so it's the same way with brands. And they have to understand that. But also, be true to yourself, right? And be willing to tell people no. And sometimes you have to say, that's probably not something I would say in general, and my audience is not going to appreciate that. So we can work and try to figure it out. But the same way that they say, hey, we have the right to come back and edit 3 times and do a tweak, you have that same right. And you could say, well, I have the right 3 times to say I'm not going to do that. Because if I'm fighting with you over and over and over again, especially if it's something like you're giving me $3,000. Now, $3,000 is not necessarily a little bit of money, but it's not enough for me to go back and forth with you 75 times.
Right.
Girl, let me be honest with you. My mortgage is more than that. So I don't got time.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have the time. Either you're going to give me the $3,000 or you're not.
Right.
I have to beg, borrow, and steal just to get the $3,000 you wanted to give me.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
You offered.
You offered it to me. Give
Right.
it to me. Damn. Like, why we gotta fight? You know?
Right.
So it's more of those kind of things where I will like directly ask. You know, I'll say, okay, so you liked this, but this doesn't sound like me. So let's find a way to get to that. I can respect what you're trying to say, right? Do you mind if I go back and try to, make a couple of changes, and then we'll see how you like it, and then we can do that.
I
And
bet
if-
they're shook when they get that feedback.
Oh, that happens a lot. Freddie and I worked on a project together, and I mean, it was people in there stuck on stupid, honey. They were like, "Did she?" I said, "Yes, you got 15 minutes. Let's go."
Yeah.
I don't have all day.
Let's revise this copy. Let's
Yeah.
do it.
Right. No,
Move
I mean that's a really like a beautiful way to tell them this doesn't work for me.
Right. It doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, to just be like, so what you're giving me is trash, but let's make it better.
Let's make it better for you and me. Because, and that's the thing I feel like most influencers don't understand. They look at these brands as people that have authority in the subject. And I'm going to be real frank with you. They don't. Because they're still used to working with traditional marketing and traditional advertising. Okay.
Agencies.
And agency life is very, very different, right? I know. I've done it. I'm a part of that. And so I get it. And it's like these old agency budgets that were $50,000, $100,000, but then they want to give you not even like 10% of that for you to do all the work that would have been done by 20 people. You're not going to play me, honey. You can go right on back and do whatever you were doing to do. And you're going to be the one stuck. Like, not, okay, well, figure it out.
Right.
Hope you sell your new little mascara because I don't got time. Right. Enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, where it's like, if your post does well, it makes them look good. Exactly. And so coming at it from that angle of like, look, we both know what we're trying to do here. I want to give you the best impressions. I want your boss to get the best impression of you.
Exactly.
Let's do this together.
Right. Let's make it work.
Yeah.
Let me help you look good.
Right.
It's easy.
But in order to do that, you have to let me do my thing a little bit.
A little
Yes.
bit, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and that just to me always comes back to you called me for a reason. If it's a cold call email and you like are pitching me, so then you got here some kind of way, right? And that's my favorite thing to say, especially when people are like, "Oh, would you mind doing this for a gift card or exposure?" And I'm like, "Girl, I'm exposed. That's how you found me."
Let's talk about that.
Right? I'm outside.
Let's talk about that, because the audacity of some brands to like, because I get emails like I don't know how they find my email, probably from these extensions.
They probably do.
But I get like really offensive emails that are like, "Hey, we'll send you free product, and that's your payment." And like sometimes, like if it's a product that I really like, I'm like, but even then, I could still go buy it myself.
Yeah,
Like,
like,
fuck?
I can afford it. You know what I mean? Like, short of giving me a car, right? And again, I have one of those too. That's just another bill.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I have that. You are, it is highly unlikely that a brand is going to give you something that you don't already have, that you couldn't buy yourself if you wanted it, right? Or that you hadn't at least heard of. So when they come to you and they're like, "Oh, we're willing to give you $500 in gift cards and X, Y, and Z," and I'm like, but is the hope though is that I take the $500 and still just spend it at your company? Why not then just send me the stuff and then just pay me for my work, right? Because you still want labor from me. So rather than giving me the $500 and wasting the print on the plastic, give me the $500 worth of product that you just want me to buy and let me make something. And I'm giving you what? That would have been maybe a $50,000, $20,000 commercial.
Right.
And I'll give it to you for $5,000. So now I done saved you $15,000.
Right.
So now you owe me some more money. Like, really?
This conversation
Right,
is
this costs you money.
right.
This time.
Right, this time. Girl, I don't have the time. Like, No, my time is valuable. This is the only thing I can't get back.
So I've got a question in general for everyone in the group, because I'm working at a production company now, and we often work with influencers, and to like help us promote films and whatnot. And being behind the scenes, I've noticed that the diversity and impact comes out a lot. You know, we want to make sure we get diverse talent, which feels like to me like, okay, tokenism. So do y'all charge for that? Because you should.
I haven't, but yeah. I mean, I think that it comes into play, and I will. So what I do when I tell people about like working with me specifically, there was, I want to say maybe 3 years ago when I was really hardcore like pitching and doing, you know what I mean, and like everyday emailing brands and all of those things, because it's just the work that you have to do. I would often put in those pitch letters like, we're at a, you know, juncture in society where people are recognizing that we are not all the same. And if you don't want your company to be lumped into the sameness, then it's time for you to branch out, right?
Ooh, strong pitch.
Right?
Strong pitch.
Story.
Right?
A
you know?
writer. A writer.
Right? And so it's like you can either continue to do the same thing, or you can tap into a market. One, the black spending dollar is $1.6 trillion. Do you know how many companies are leaving money on the table? Black people love to spend money. They have money, and they're loyal spenders.
Right.
Don't be stupid.
Right.
But there's so much stupidity, right? The Latino market is trillions of dollars, right? And that is a market that will stick with the brand. If your abuela has been buying the same Goya beans forever, they will keep doing it because it's like, well, abuela been buying them beans, so they're not bad. I'm gonna keep doing it, right? Like it's just what they're going to do. But most people, right, the gatekeepers, the people at the top, they have no idea how that works.
Right.
So it's up on you to say that. And I've definitely said that to people. You know, I'm like, if you really want to be what you're saying, and I'm good for going to find a mission statement, honey, on a company website.
Ooh, yes.
That's smart.
According to your mission statement. Okay. Right here on line 3, it says that diversity is an important tenet.
It
of
always
your company.
is. It always is.
Well,
In the
bitch, it's
mission
looking
statement.
real clear. It's looking real 3 Pantone shades of beige.
At the top, especially.
At the top. It's 3 white men with the same haircut. I'm just tired. So we done seen it. You know, so y'all just have to tell them. You have to not be afraid to say those things, because this is what I always think too. And this is just a general life advice. You are always at no until the yes.
That's a great piece of advice.
Which means you're not ever losing. Because I'm right where you left me. You know what I mean? Like when you told me no, I'm not backward, I'm not forward, I'm exactly where I was before you found me. So it's fine. Okay.
Takes the feelings out of it.
Yeah. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'm on to the next. I'm just going to keep going until I get my yes, because I'm just at the same place. I'm not anywhere lower than I was.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Girl, I don't get offended.
Okay, you are the gems that you're dropping. I just don't even know how to deal. They are so good. So anyone listening, I hope y'all are writing things down. You have a pen and paper, notes app, whatever it is. Leslie's going to actually give us the top 5 must-haves that should be in place when looking to monetize your content after the break.
Welcome back, y'all. We have Leslie, aka Hot Mommy, in the studio talking paid social media opportunities. So to round out everything, we need nuggets. We're little babies, and you need to break it down.
Yes, please.
So, as Freddie said, what are 5 must-haves a digital creator should have in place to put them in the best position to essentially get paid to create, especially in our current social media climate?
Oh, okay. So first, buckle up, right?
Okay.
Because I've got a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep breaths.
From the top. So my first tip, consistency, right? I think that if I've learned anything in this business, it is not that people are usually inherently better than you. It's not because they're smarter than you. It's not because they're more talented than you. It's because they show up while you sitting on your ass.
Ouch. Yep.
It's just true, right?
Ouch.
Right.
Ouch.
Right?
Leslie.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I think that that's the part that most people miss. Like I said, I graduated from college a long time ago. But I was doing blogging and, you know, I was running, and you guys are probably too old to even remember this blog, but there was a blog called Concrete Loop. Remember like the advent of celebrity kind of gossip blogs? So there was a blog called Concrete Loop. There was a blog called Crunk and Disorderly. It was that was like just the beginning of like, I used to write a celebrity blog, right? So it's all about consistency. Did it blow up? No. But it had a readership. People were looking forward to it, and it was fine. And so it's always just about showing up. Everything you do is not going to blow up. Everything you do is not going to go viral. And also virality is so like fleeting and pointless, and you can't ever match it again. So don't even try to set your sights on it. Like, it's whatever. But just keep showing up. People always say, like, how do you figure these things out? How do you have the time? Especially like friends that are my age. They're like, girl, how do you have the time for all of this stuff? And I'm like, it's really not that hard. I just kind of, I'm living my life. My life is the content. So I'm not trying that hard, right? Like you are walking around like this all day. Right. Girl, I'm about to take a video of y'all. You know what I mean? Like, content, it's content, right? So it's just showing up. It's just being consistent every single day. And when you do that, then people start to expect you. And then when they expect you, now you're like, oh, there's somebody here. Right? And the 10 will eventually become the 15. The 15 will eventually become the 30, and so on and so on and so on. So if you have one video today, that's fine. Do another video tomorrow and another video the next day. And so that's my first tip. Just keep showing up, right? And eventually you get better. People are like, oh my God, I don't know how you figured it out, girl. I didn't. I just was showing up, pressing shit. Right? Like, okay, that'll work. You know what I mean? Like, and then it just works. I guess one of my next ones is really, if you want to work with a brand, have content that already looks like something a brand will want to use.
Wow.
Ooh. You know, and it's not even to say that you have to have the flyest camera, the best mic, the top of the notch thing. That just simply means have something that a brand can insert itself into. Right? So if you're sitting here, and even if I'm just talking to Freddie, I'm talking to Chantel, I'm talking to Dev, but we're just chit-chatting, there's a little water. Right? You know what I mean? Like, and again, it's nothing. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It's just very simply like, oh, I walked in, I have this water in my hand. Oh, I'm going into this store. So now the brand already thinks like, oh, okay, so she does drink water. Oh, she does drink tea. Oh, she likes a little bag. Oh, she enjoys a little watch. They are already watching those things, right? But if none of your content looks like what the brand is already out there doing, then they're not coming to you. I'll give you an example. I had somebody call me, and this happens to me a lot. People are always like, oh, you know who you should talk to? You should talk to Leslie about this because she just knows, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, damn, I really need to start charging for these brain dumps.
You really should.
I'm just a sweetheart. And so, you know, Lord, send me some money. So she called me, and she's a very prominent TikToker. I love her. She's great. And so I asked her, I said, so what are you looking to do in this space? And she said, well, you know, I really want to do red carpet stuff. I said, girl, I'm confused. It's not a single red carpet, nothing on what you're doing. Why would MTV pay you to be on the carpet?
That part.
For what? It's not because you can't do it. Oh, you're completely capable. You are capable. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. You can do it. But right now, that doesn't make sense to them because you don't do that. Right? So why would they pay you to do that? Because you didn't show them that they should come get you to do their stuff.
Regardless of how many followers. And
it's millions, right? This girl has millions of followers. You coming to me and I'm just here with my little 15 grand. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Now, granted, Madison Square Garden only fits 21,000 people. So just think about that. Okay? So just think about that when you're also...
Say that again.
Right?
Say that again. Say that
Madison
again.
Square Garden hosts 20,000 people. So when you're looking at numbers too, people think, oh, I don't have enough. I filled up a stadium, honey.
Right.
The Staples Center coming to see Leslie. Right. Anywho.
Damn.
So, you know. But in that, she was saying that I thought, dang, she would be good for that. She's timely. Her comedic timing is great. She's hilarious. There could be a little interstitial skit. I mean, I could have put the package together myself.
Right.
But she couldn't do it because I'm like, nobody's looking to you for that.
Right.
It's
a resume.
It's a resume. Right. And most people don't think about that. They're just like suddenly like, oh, I want to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, but why? Why would I pay you to do that? Right. So start there. Start creating the content that you're trying to make.
Make it obvious for these
obvious.
brands. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so my younger sister and I had a blog at that time. So that was 2011. Oh my God, that's when y'all
Fly Coast to Coast.
Right?
Is that?
See?
Yeah.
Look at the brand still sticking.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, here we are. years
like,
later.
look at us.
Look at us. We did good, girls. We did
I'm
good.
like, we did the block.
We
She
did
would,
it.
they remember that.
You know, they're invested. The people are invested.
When you have it, you have it. When you have it, you have it.
So even that, right? You still remember this, right? But at the time, honey, we was not carrying Dior. Okay, it was right. It was it was hoping for the or. Okay, yes, it was very Forever 21. It was very like
God bless.
God bless
Those
It
times.
was Rolex. It was Adidas.
it was cute.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
you know, but we made it work. But the story at that time was still relatability. It was still like, hey, I'm just a young mom. You know, my sister lives in New York. I live in LA, hence the coast to coast. We're both fly. It's cute. La, 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 la. That was the story. But eventually the story had to evolve, right? Mm-hmm. My sister is an interior designer by trade. She's a wonderful interior designer, right? And so she started building her career as a designer. And I had to say, okay, how am I going to do this? What am I going to do? I was like, oh, lifestyle brand. I'm just going to be myself on the internet. That's easy. Okay. Right. And so the story started to evolve. Now, I wasn't always like seen as like luxury and this, that, and the third because, girl, I couldn't afford it. I had to work like everybody else. Right. But it grew to that. And it was all a part of the story. And I told that story along the way, too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes, like, there's a blogger who I can think of in my mind. She started off, and it was very much like, I thrift, I do all of these things, right? She's gorgeous, she's beautiful. And then instantly, suddenly, she was discovered. And now she's, like, doing luxury. But I'm like, but what happened to the thrift?
Yeah, what's the story?
Where'd it go, right? You were this girl, and now you're this, and now I don't understand anymore. Yeah. So you've left behind the original audience, and they want to grow, too, right? Ami Song has been, you know, and I use her just because she's top of mind right now, but she's been blogging since 2012.
Right.
She's now a mother.
Yeah.
So it had to grow, right? And so, but now she's not losing an audience. Now those people who were with her from the beginning, they're growing too. And they're like, oh, we love to see you become a mom. That's amazing. Yeah. I'm not a mom, but I can see that. I like it. It's cute. People are not going to be turned off by you growing up, right? And sometimes people struggle with that on the internet. Like, nobody wants to see that. Of course they do.
Right.
Why would they not?
Right.
There are people that know my children that have never met my children. Right? My oldest daughter is 14. People are like, oh my gosh, she's in high school, girl. Look at our niece. I'm like,
our niece.
Right?
Our niece.
The internet aunties. Like, and I'm like, I know.
That's me. It's always me. It's always me.
Me too. I'm like, look at their baby. Right? Because we're all here. You know what I mean?
Invested.
It's invested.
Yeah.
And so if you have a story, then people can invest in something with you, which then will allow the brand to invest with you too. And that's how you get the money, right? Because every brand tells a story. What's the story of Target?
Minnesota, like big shop, here for the every person.
Exactly.
Families with dogs, perhaps.
Organized, yeah.
I get inclusive.
Yeah.
I get inclusive.
What's the story with Walmart?
Boo.
Not organized, but has everything you need, value.
Yeah. Yeah, you get everything for like $3.
Yeah.
Now, you do realize that Target sometimes tends to be cheaper than Walmart. But you don't think that because of the way they've made the story.
That is so true.
Right?
Everything at Target feels elevated.
Exactly. It's the same stuff.
Yeah. It's the same stuff.
It's the lighting, right?
Yeah. Right.
So Target only will do overhead, like warm lighting. Walmart is trying to keep the bottom dollar down. So they do overhead, cool lighting because they want you in, out. They want it to feel like a warehouse.
Yeah.
Right? Even the way that they do the pricing, even the way that the fonts are, right? It's like a large, deep, heavy Helvetica. They do that purposefully. It's the same sort of Helvetica that they use at Target. But they do it in lowercase, so it's approachable. They use red, so it feels warm, right? Blue's a little cold.
Right.
All of these things are involved in marketing. That's the story. So how are you selling yourself, right? Even if somebody is following me that maybe can't go out and buy all the crap that I'm buying, and trust me, it's all bullshit. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's nice shit, but whatever. It's just shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same stuff. They're not, well, I can't follow her because she has a Dior bag and I don't. They're like, oh, I can go get a nice black bag myself and have the same little knit dress that she has on, and we can just be just as cute. Like, you know what I mean? So aspirational content is also available to you. And that's how you do it. You don't discount other people. You don't set them aside and make them feel like they're less than because maybe they can't afford this. You bring them into the story, right? So come with me to World Market so we can go see what a bougie mom puts in her pantry. Girl, it's all jelly. But you know, it's the same stuff. People feel like, oh, something to look forward to, something to aspire to. And that's what I've done with the content. And that's the story that I'm consistently telling. So you always have to have a story available. Another thing that I want to say is hone in on one platform. There are 70,000 different platforms that you could be on, right? But you cannot be excellent at them all at the same time. We just have to be honest about that.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just true. I know my strengths. I am a writer, so Twitter will always be my favorite app. Like, I don't care if I never get as many followers on there, but I can also be myself.
Right.
I just say what I need to say, and I'm like, girl, okay, that's it. That's all I got for you. I'm out. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what it is. Instagram is great, but look at the effects that Instagram starting to fall has had on everyone, right? People's money has dried up. People are like, nobody wants to watch this anymore. I don't know what to do. I've been telling y'all for 6 years to get a blog. How long have I been telling people that?
You really have. I'm not even kidding.
Like, where is your little website?
Because it's an O&O. You own it.
You own it. It's yours.
You're not dependent on a platform.
Right? It's going to fall.
Right.
The Zuck can't hold it forever. Right? Like,
Nor do we want him
nor
to.
do we want him to. Right? We are all tired. Right? Like, girl, give it up. Like, please, you done bought half of Hawaii. Just go. And
Yes, so much
into
of
the
Hawaii.
deep.
He just owns Hawaii now. I
I
hate it.
can't. It's ridiculous.
I hate it.
Disposable income that some people just don't need. Anywho, you need to have one platform, but you also need to make that platform something that you own. So even though I'm on Instagram, even though I'm on TikTok, I own my website, right? I can always go to it. I can always upload on it. I can put a picture on it. I can put a video on it. I can do whatever I want to do. You know, I could change it to look like Instagram if I wanted to.
Right.
Right? You know what I mean? But people don't understand that.
Pull an Instagram on
Pull
Instagram.
Instagram on Instagram. Right?
I want you to.
Right.
I want you to.
Exactly. Because this week they're trying to be real, right? And you're like, ugh. Which is why they're failing. Because that's the tip, right? Hone one platform. But they want to be everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
They were doing so good being themselves. And now they're going to play themselves and be non-existent because they want to be Snapchat, they want to be TikTok, they want to be Real, they want to be YouTube. No.
If they just went on Twitter, or maybe even just like, I'm always wondering, like, is it just my ecosystem that things feel really obvious? Or like maybe we're not all following this, the same people, but I'm like, everyone on my timeline is saying, I miss when Instagram was just photos.
Just pictures.
Like, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do they just not, do they see it and not care? Are they not having the same, are they not seeing the tweets? Like, what is happening? You know?
I think a large part of it is that they think that they're smarter than the consumer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of brands think, which is why they continue to fail. You know what I mean? So they're like, no, well, we know better than you. But you can't know better than us because we're the user.
Right.
You're sitting in an office disseminating information, and we're telling you the information is not falling. It's falling on deaf ears. Nobody wants that. So if they were smart, they would go back to the beginning, cut all the crap, and go back to photos. And then just be like, it's Instagram, the original.
Yeah. Like, can you imagine how much that would blow up? And that is
People would
hilarious
love
because
it.
it's not new at
No.
all. But people would be like, finally.
Right.
Take the algorithm back to just being sequential and
Put a photo up.
Yeah.
They did
I
it
don't
for
need-
like a second when photo dumps were good. I love the
Yes.
carousels.
Oh, that was fun.
Yeah.
Because it keeps you on the app longer,
Yes.
which is what videos they
Right.
think do. But like that's what we want.
Yeah.
That's what we
it.
want. Photo dumps.
And in the
Yeah.
moment too. Remember,
Yep.
Instagram used to be very in the moment, right? So now it's like, just show me what life has been about for you, because I clearly can't see it because I'm not gonna see it on time.
Right.
By the time it gets to me anyway, that's why photo dumps came
Right.
to be, because you weren't getting it in time.
That's right. Wow.
Right?
That's why I love Be Real.
Yeah.
I love Be Real.
Exactly.
I have like 30 friends,
That's great.
and I'm like, I love this.
Right, because it's just in the moment, and it's just like, okay, that's where I'm at. Girl, bye.
Yes.
So now I can get back to living my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you actually feel like you know more of what your friends are doing.
Yes. Because that's what Instagram was supposed to be. Remember when people were literally taking pictures of like their juice box?
Yes.
Like that's what it was. It was like, oh, this is where I'm at. I'm here.
Yes.
Okay, fun. Bye. Going back to life. Right. And now they want to be there. They want to be in every little thing. They want a video of it. They want a reel of it. They want music. Talk about not being able to keep up, right? And so it just gets tired. And so as a person and as a creator, you need to hone one platform. Get good at it, right? And be willing to look and be on something that's like new. The people that have been on TikTok, right? You can be an early adopter,
Yeah.
right? And there's a certain way that sometimes when platforms blow up, so we had the dancers and they were doing all that. Now that's dead. Nobody wants to see you dance, right? We don't care. So you're still in the early adoption phase, really, of TikTok. right? It's smart to kind of like get in now, figure out where you fit in, establish yourself, right? And make it work for you. And then it's the slow build too. Don't try to get 1 million followers in a day. Girl, that's boring. Nobody cares.
They're not going to stay with you too. If you
No,
have 1 million
they're gonna
followers
give
a day.
up.
Yeah.
Like, and it's really all, I think the sweet spot really is having between like 5 and 50,000, right? Because it's still people you can communicate with. You can still talk to them a lot. You can still answer DMs. You can still kind of like have that personal, like, oh, this person always DMs me. They always laugh at this. Once you kind of get above that, it just gets harder. You know what I mean? And it's not like you can't do it, but it just gets more difficult. And it's really not as close of the community that you probably intended to build in the beginning. Now, it's great for the pocket sometimes, and it's great for notoriety and opportunity, and that's wonderful. But it just turns to something different, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
It's great. It's just different. And I think the last thing that I would say is like have content pillars. Have buckets that things can fall into, right? So we have the umbrella of the hot mommy. But in that, I'm like always talking about the hot life. Well, what's the hot life? Oh, it might be shopping. It might be me with friends. It's me going to brunch with Freddie and Courtney. That's my sister. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, I'm a hot mom. So now you're seeing all the mom stuff. And it's not like, oh my God, this is what, I just bought the girls for school. It's like, dumb shit like my kid laying on the floor crying. I'm like, girl, what are you doing? You should get up.
Right.
Like, you look goofy. You know what I mean? Like, it's things like that. Then it's things like being well and like feeling good about myself. Like, okay, so that's the hot bod. That's me working out. Everybody followed me like deciding that I was going to exercise again. I'm a former athlete. So it's like, girl, now you don't have these 3 kids. You don't have like directus recti. Your like muscles are split apart. I'm trying to get it together, right? So that was a journey. But I brought everybody with me on the journey, right? So then they're like, girl, you doing it. You know what I mean? So that's fun. That's encouraging for me. You know what I mean? Then we just have all those different things. So break up your brand into different little content pillars because then you'll always have something to make. And you can always pull from that, right? So if you have money, you have this, you have that. It's like, today it'll be this, today it'll be that, today it'll be that. And if you have 5 little things, you're always going to have something to create. And they don't have to be the same. And then people will know what to expect from you. They know what they're going to get from you. They know how they're going to be entertained by you. And they're committed to the brand.
That is so smart.
I'll say like one of my favorite things about your like social media presence and moniker is that like obviously Leslie knows branding. Leslie knows. But like what I love too, because I think sometimes moms may feel nervous about having their kids on the internet if that's like a potential bucket that they want. And like I think that you do it so gracefully, but you also keep your privacy. And like so instead of like everyone knowing all of her kids' names, she calls it the big one, the middle one,
The tiny
and
one.
the tiny one.
Smart.
And it's like it's like a title.
Yeah.
It's like the B is capitalized
Right.
for the big one. You know what I mean? It's like and it's like I feel like that's like I haven't really seen that. I haven't seen that done. And I just think it's very cool that you're able to you found a way to do both, like sharing, but also making sure that your family's safe.
Yeah. I mean, and I think I learned that early on because I think as like my notoriety started to grow, I mean, people would see me out, right? And then I would be someplace, and I always knew from the beginning, never post when I'm there, right? You know,
Never,
what I mean? I wait till I leave. But then they'd be like, I knew that was you, and I was gonna come say hi, and I'm like, girl, no, you weren't. Not when I was with these kids, right? You know what I mean? Like, be cool. You know what I mean? Like, these are my children. And so, like, I've put myself out there. And so, even, like, I just got to the place where I really started kind of showing them on the internet a lot. You know what I mean? But even still, I'm very mindful, like, we don't show their schools. We don't do things like that, obviously. Just all that little stuff. But I do it to respect their privacy. You know what I mean? I hate for them to get older and they're like, oh, girl, we've been knowing you. Your mom had you on the internet when you was like 2. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, my God. So, like, I just want them to also be able to be like, oh, but she still respected me in that process. So it's really important to me. I also call the tiny one the assistant.
Yes.
She spent the time telling me what to do for she's only been here 4 years. Like,
She's 4 years old?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But she told me she's been here before, and I believe her.
She's been
To Earth.
Oh.
Yes.
Lives.
Yes.
She's very how did you like describe her, like a Jewish older?
Oh yeah. She's a little old Jewish lady. This is true. My husband is Jewish. So, she's like very much, she has like a New York accent. It's very interesting. My husband's from New York, but so I'm like, where did this come from? But I'll ask her, I'm like, have you been here before?
Yeah.
And she goes, yes, we've talked about this. And I'm like, girl, what? Oh yeah. I asked her one thing and she goes, it's my scientist friends. They've all told me. And I go, who are these scientist friends? She's like, they all passed away.
That.
I'm telling you, these kids been here before y'all.
The kids.
Because they remember their
They
past
remember,
life
they're
more.
still
We forget
close,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Like the further and further
Right
you get, you
there.
don't remember like kind of like your, coming into humanity and presence and your
lineage.
lineage. Oh, yeah.
I was an old man in my past life.
I see that.
You feel that?
I've just always felt that.
I love that.
I don't know why. I just always have. And I'm there. Someone was like, "What about when he was like young?" I was like, "I don't know. I know that I was old.
Right. I was always old. Right?
I was
Like,
an old man."
Yes. I was a little British lady. I know that. Some days it just comes out.
Oh, I love that.
Right? I'm like, what?
You like crumpets?
Very random, right? I'm like, I'm here. Oh, God. Yeah.
Tea time.
Right? It's time for tea. Yeah. You know,
Hilarious.
it's me.
Wow. Leslie.
Yes.
Leslie. You know, we've been in this space for many years. Why did I learn more today than I have in 5 years
Right?
in social
old.
media?
No.
Yeah. I mean, you.
It's never taught.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not.
It's, it's never taught.
But you want to know why, too? I think that we forget that there's always a new industry being created, right? At some point in time, there wasn't a technological industry, right? There wasn't an industrial industry, right? There wasn't agriculture. We hunted and gathered, and then we went to agriculture, and then we did, so it's always developing. I mean, this never seemed like a real job to me, right? I mean, up until probably like 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be like, ugh, I don't have a traditional job. I really should have just went to law school. It would have been easier. But my therapist was like, why do you keep saying that? Why do you keep saying that this is not a real job? Maybe it's not a real job because you keep saying it's not a real job. I was like, you need to mind your business. That's not what I paid you for. But, right? But
When they get too close.
right, you get too close. You just chill out. You know what I mean? But the truth is, we don't think of it as a real job, and the reason we don't is because we technically just don't have anybody to look to who already did it.
Yeah.
And that's the large problem, right? It's because you just can't say, well, so-and-so did it like X, Y, and Z. Well, then you be the so-and-so, right? And so that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just telling you this is how it's been done, but it's still being created. And this is why so many brands still don't know how it works. They're figuring it out, right? You have people running these companies that are, 50, 60 years old, so they don't understand that. And then they're hiring people that may be like 20, 25, and they're coming at it from a different way.
Right.
So it's really just still being built up. And that's why people don't know. There's no industry standard. There's no best practice. It's still like kind of in the, figure it out stage.
But that's why I think you're so special because you're like, industries are always being created, sure, but marketing will stay the same.
Forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people are going to need to sell.
Yep. Always.
So if you understand these tenets that you brought up,
Then,
thank God.
You'll make it. And it'll be okay. And I will, being honest, it's like it's been probably a good year and a half since I've like really sat down and sent out pitch emails because I honestly just haven't felt like it. Like I've just been like, girl, I'm not doing it. I'll just, I will do something. I'll write a book. It's fine. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'll just do something else because I just was getting tired of the fight. You know what I mean? And I think I'm definitely getting back to the place now where I'm like, okay, I'm ready to do it. But I'm also ready to do it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why I was excited that you asked me to come because I was like, yeah, this is like, I kind of want to do it in this teaching sort of way that's, like, I know what I'm talking about.
You really do.
Sure.
I didn't always think that, but this validates that. So thanks so much.
Oh my God. What? I mean, there's not anyone else that would have been as good as
Oh,
you.
thanks.
Truly.
Truly.
Yeah.
Leslie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
For driving from Long Beach to Burbank last minute. That's love, y'all.
Right?
Anyone who's not based in LA, that's love. That is
Yes.
love.
Real love.
Where can everyone find you? We all know Hot Mommy, but
Right.
let's get spellings, let's get
Oh,
ads,
yes.
let's get various platforms. Like let's
Absolutely.
get it all.
Well, you can
get book
find
titles.
me right. Book
Yes,
titles?
book titles.
Okay. Well, I can't tell you that until they buy it, but call my agent. You can find me everywhere on the internet at The Hot Mommy. That's HAUTEMOMMIE, except for TikTok where it's The Hot Mommy. But it's still the same. I'm there being me, my full self. So come holla.
Yes, everyone follow her. Has projects, I feel like, in development or, somewhat happening in so many other buckets outside of social media. So she will also share that.
Yes, I'm writing a novel currently.
Yeah.
It's been in the process probably for about a decade, but that usually happens when you're like a first-time author. So my agent and I are preparing to go to Sub, so please buy my book. Right. It's a coming-of-age novel about a girl learning to navigate love, sex, and relationships in her 20s.
Love.
Oh, I
Right?
love that.
Because nobody knows how to do that. It's
No.
crazy. So I'm writing that.
And it's fiction.
It is fiction.
Yes.
Loosely.
Loosely.
Fiction in quotation marks.
Right? You never know. I'm always writing television projects. So if you're a producer, holla. Because I got mad something to sell. I recently actually just came off of like doing pilot stuff. And so, you know, I'm kind of looking to get into producing and do more of my ideas than showing up at pilot season. But, you know, I'm always around for that.
Yeah. She's around.
Right. She's around.
Yes.
Your girl likes to talk.
She's outside.
Right. She's outside.
Yeah.
So go find
You know
her.
what I'm saying?
Okay.
But I come outside for money.
Oh, yes. That part.
Only.
That part.
The same.
Yes. Leslie, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you for
on.
having me. It was a blast. I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
It's been amazing.
Listeners, we hope you gained a lot. You better have, because we did. And join us again next week. Or no, what do we say? Oh, until next week. Right.
Until next week. Yeah. Until next week.
Bye.